this is a long one, and I'm going to apologize to you in advance for the language. Now, sometimes I use my own language. This gentleman is irritated. He's a friend of mine, and he's a listener to this show. And he's pissed. So, he says, well, Las Vegas Metro, that's the municipal police department in Las Vegas. Las Vegas Metro and I just got done tangling not 30 minutes ago. This experience solidifies in my mind that every cop is a fucking worthless piece of shit, and I wouldn't stop to, I'm not going to go that far, let alone ever assist them if they were under fire. He says, fuck them, let them get shot up. I'm to the point where I don't even want to hear about the good ones because I no longer believe in that fairy tale. I arrived at the Greek Fest, carrying open as I have every year for the last 15 years. Walked past no less than 6 Metro officers directing traffic and inside the event. Stood talking to reps from the Veterans of Foreign War and I don't know what DAV is for 40 minutes, and then I went to eat. I stood in line, chatted with the Greek ladies, and then went and sat down to eat. I talked to a lady from New Jersey while I ate, and after I had finished, I was sitting by myself now about 15 minutes, and here comes the Las Vegas Metro Thug Patrol. It's funny how they work. This cop comes up and taps my shoulder and then steps way back, motioning that he wants me to come with him. Meanwhile, I see his partner standing off to the left, trying to be Casper the Invisible Ghost. So, when I stand up to follow the piece of shit number one, the other swoops in behind me as if I am supposed to be impressed and believe they are so good that I never saw this stupid rod trying to hide from me. First words of this... I said I was going to read this verbatim, but I can't. There are some words in here that I wouldn't go with on the air. First words out of this so-and-so's mouth is, I need to see your ID. Well, those that know me, even remotely, know that's not going to fucking happen. Then the conversation went like this. My response, I don't have ID. Parentheses, which is true. I leave my driver's license in my truck at all times, especially for occasions just like this. The officer, why don't you have ID? Because I don't carry one with me as a general rule. Why not? Why? Do I need to? The owners are concerned because you have a gun. That would be the owners of the Greek Fest. Do they want me to leave? No. They have not expressed that at all at this point. Then why are we having this conversation? That's my buddy. He says, because we're required to check out who you are. He says, my God, these so-and-sos lie with ease. I walked past no less than, no, he's talking to the officer. I walked past no less than 4 cops on the street on the way here, and they never said a word to me. The officer responds, they're directing traffic and cannot stop you in transit to address this. My friend says, if it was not a concern for the first time in 15 years, they could have just radioed ahead. Why have I been here for 3 hours and just now hearing about this? Officer, someone from the church, I guess it was held on church property, pointed out that you have a gun. Of course, it would be a church. Go figure. Idiots. So he says to the officer, so do all of you and the security guards and no one on this premises have 10% of the firearms training that I have? Well, how are we supposed to know that if you won't present your ID? My friend says, I'll tell you right now, I am not identifying myself because the circumstances do not require me to do that. Yes! Yeah, there's no reasonable suspicion for detention. Well, we know all about the Second Amendment. This is the cop speaking. We all know all about the Second Amendment. Not! But if we have reasonable suspicion or engage in a consensual stop, then we can ask you to produce it. Okay, well, here's a couple of things. First of all, if they have the cop is not wrong here. If they have reasonable suspicion, they can demand it. If it's a consensual stop, they can ask for it. But if it's a consensual stop, you're not obliged to give it. So, my friend says, I don't consent to anything, and you have no reasonable suspicion. He knows the game, right? You have no reasonable suspicion of anything. I've been here 3 hours. Don't you think if I wanted to shoot the place up, I would have already done it? The cop, we understand, but now we are very suspicious about you because we don't know you or anything about you. Isn't that great? We don't know anything about you, therefore we are suspicious. Man, what does that say about cop mentality? If we don't know everything about you, you are automatically a suspect. Of what? He could not articulate. But this is why, that sentence right here, knowing Jeff as I do, aside from being bothered when he's trying to enjoy himself, that sentence right there was probably the one that cinched it in his mind that this cop was an asshole. We understand, but now we are very suspicious about you because we don't know you or anything about you. Why would not knowing somebody raise suspicion? As you're walking through the grocery store and you look over and you see that lady standing there with the 3 kids and that you don't know her, do you become suspicious because you don't know her? Why would a cop become suspicious? Because he doesn't know somebody. Somebody, I might add, somebody who is in complete compliance with Nevada state law. So, my friend continues, and running my background isn't going to make you know me or anything about me. You just want to see if I have a criminal record, which I don't. At this point, the whole good cop act unravels, and the one that initiated contact with me shows his true dickhead self and tells me he's been a cop for 25 years and he has no patience for people like me. That would be the law-abiding people who don't want to cave in to being bullied by a dickhead cop? Yeah. He says, I said in a condescending tone, sorry, too many family members that are attorneys and friends that used to be cops. Not sure what that means, but I'm sure it made sense in context when he said it. Let's see here. He says, well, you ask your cop buddies how they would like it if you told them you're not giving up your... Okay, so he's saying if you have cop buddies, ask your cop buddies how they would like it to react to you if you told them you're not giving your ID. It's totally disrespectful. Totally disrespectful. As if contact with an officer on a legal issue... Now, if you said to the officer, look, you're a dickhead, that would be disrespectful. But to say there's no reasonable suspicion here, so I'm not required to give you ID, there's nothing disrespectful about that. But these are the angles that, as he calls this guy, the dickheads try and play. He says, haven't you heard about the IHOP shooting and the other recent shootings? It's things like that that make us suspicious of you because you have a gun. Unbelievable. Jeff, if you don't file a complaint against this guy, we need to talk. So my friend says, I don't care about any of that. I wasn't involved in any of that. So I said if I was required to do so, I would, but I'm not, so I won't. In other words, I'm not listening to your shit. The law doesn't require me to give it to you, so I'm not. He says, the dickhead says, you know what? This conversation is over. My friend says, am I being asked to leave? No. So I went and sat back down and looked over at these dumb bastards and what they're doing. They're crooked scum of the earth cops do. They're scheming and talking on their radios about me, telling the church people I am a white Al-Qaeda or domestic terrorist and that they are worried and recommend I be removed. I look back at the musicians, and not 5 minutes later, here comes the true dickhead walking up to me. I preempt him with, am I out of here? Oh, yes, you are. The church officials are now uncomfortable with you being here. Now, here's the truth of the matter. The cop made them uncomfortable. If the cop had said, this guy knows the laws, knows his rights, he hasn't caused any problem, nor did he cause any problems with us, which he did not, the church officials probably would have said, oh, all right, he knows the law, he knows his rights, he hasn't caused any problems in the 3 hours he's been here, and he didn't cause any problems with us. Had the cop said that, the church officials probably would have said, oh, okay. But what he did is he went, oh, he won't show us any idea. We don't know what he's up to yet. We find him very suspicious. That's when the church leader said, we want him out of here. So my friend responds, that's fine. I'm done eating and just listening to the music, but I can do that at home without being harassed by you. The cop says, let's go, sir. Oh, and by the way, I'll be back next year carrying concealed in case you're interested. Beautiful. We're going to get to that whole concealed thing in a minute. He says, so I walk out with these 2 fucking goons right behind me, and this is part of what makes me drop to my knees every night and wish a horrible death from cancer on all these Nazi so-and-sos. Even after I crossed the threshold of the church property and was now on the public sidewalk, these 2 fucks kept following me. And there are a ton of traffic cops along the street. I came here, I can hear these 2 cops radioing ahead as I come up on the side street saying, yeah, he's heading your way. Tall guy with black hair, Marine Corps shirt on, and a Glock handgun. Okay. So the cops that are following him now that were inside the Greek Fest, who now are no longer doing their duty in the Greek Fest, they're following him and they're telling other cops along the way, here he comes. Why would you notify other police officers that somebody who's obeying the law and knows his rights, here he comes, that guy that's obeying the law and knows his rights, here he comes, be careful! He says, so me being the eternal smartass that I am and feeling more and more bullheaded and belligerent every day of my life, I made a scene every time I was crossing an intersection by yelling, hey, over here! I'm the one you're talking about on the radio. It's me. I'm the white Al-Qaeda terrorist they're talking about. Oh, that's nice, Jeff. So now I have walked well over 100 yards, and they are still tailing me. My brain says, they're following you to your vehicle to run your plates. So they will win as far as knowing who I am. So I say to myself, let's go for a little stroll. What do you say? And I proceeded to walk right past the street I parked on and walked all the way to the next main intersection. These two sloppy bastards made it about 2/3 of the way there and finally dropped off. I crossed the street, doubled back to my truck, and drove home. So there you have it. Your honorable neighborhood cops. The amazing part is that I can just hear these fucks asking each other why the general public hates them and wishes them all dead. I'm to the point in my life where these scumbag stormtroopers that the very sight of a cop literally makes me physically ill and I could just vomit all over them. Jeff. People are getting more and more and more fed up.